I don't agree with lying to people, right? Nobody is saying that these people are biologically women. I've never said that they're biologically women, right? All I am saying is that they function within society under the woman kind of role, right? They function as women, they
What
act
is
as
that
women,
role?
they you know, you said it yourself. There are meaningful differences between the sexes, right?
Yes, they're meaningful
Yes,
biological differences.
That's not makeup and dresses and
no, it's not. Females and males do gravitate towards different things. They do. But sometimes there are going to be males who gravitate to things that are typically female and who express themselves in a female way, who function within society as females would. What is wrong with that?
What's wrong with bringing back decency laws?
Andrew and Rachel Wilson completely demolish these two libtards in a debate on transgenderism. Obviously, it is always going to be a losing argument when you're arguing on behalf of transgenderism. Credit to these two ladies for trying and putting themselves out there. But I think you're going to see, especially when you're arguing against Rachel and Andrew Wilson, I think you already know how this is going to go. But you know it, you never know. Anything could happen. But let's see how this debate goes down.
I don't think that not believing in it is transphobic.
That
I
has
think
nothing to do with the argument. If you make the statement that it's not Christophobia, it's not a phobia of Christianity, to say to them that to not affirm their identity is true. You just said that would not be Christophobia. How could it then be transphobia to refuse to affirm the identity?
Does it cause you material harm that other people don't believe in your religion?
Yes, but not only that,
Really?
It's actually one-to-one. It would be causing the same type of harm. What would be the distinction?
So it doesn't devalue you as an individual.
I think it does. It's all about how I feel.
That's ridiculous.
Neeina.
What do you mean?
It's how I feel.
Sure.
It's not about what's real, right?
Okay, well,
it's how it's perceived.
Okay, so specifically, I did also say
what's crazy about these liberals is that they don't understand. Like they every time you bring up an equivalent example, they always go, "Well, that's ridiculous. Well, how does it do you harm?" How, like for the side of empathy that could see and they could understand how the other person's feeling, they all of a sudden that empathy just shuts off when you bring up, well, is it Christophobic to say that God doesn't exist to a Christian? All of a sudden they're like, wait, what? Huh?
that saying a trans man is not male is not transphobic, in my opinion. So, like, with
then that's the end of the debate.
Isn't that the premise of the debate?
No, the difference is I specifically said saying trans men aren't men is probably transphobic.
Right,
saying trans men aren't male is probably not. No trans person is going to say that, or most trans people are not going to try and argue with you that they've changed their sex successfully. They know they haven't, right?
I don't understand. Let me be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Are you claiming that if I do not affirm the identity, meaning lie, to a person you call a trans person?
Wait, no.
Let me finish the question, and then you
we'll-
can respond.
We'll
Neeina.
give you a minute to respond on the other side.
Specifically, is it transphobic for me not to affirm a trans person's identity, or isn't it?
1 minute on the clock.
Why do you keep... Okay, well, this isn't going to be necessarily a response to your question, but I just don't like your
You're going to
framing
ask a question to
identity
answer
is
the
a
question.
lie.
Great. Perfect, Neeina.
It's
No need to answer the
premise of the
question.
debate.
Well, but
So,
it's the...
right.
Well, no, it's not about a lie. It's just about, like, why are you thinking that, like, it's like...
Let me try one more time with the
example,
question.
no, to
the
use
question
your own
is it
you can identify
transphobic
as
for
a
me to not
Christian,
affirm
like,
the identity
one second,
of
let
a
me ask a
trans
question.
person, or isn't it?
Oh my God.
Is it transphobic to not affirm the identity of a trans person, or isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
I do.
why is that not true
Yes.
for the affirmation of the identity of a Christian, or the affirmation of an identity of somebody who claims that they're black when they're actually white, or any
Yeah, I was
number
just going to actually
of
ask you.
different...
I
You
was
would to
gonna
some
say,
extent... Wait,
if
hold
I
on.
tell-
You
if
would
I
someone
tell
have
you guys... Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
If I tell you guys, you know what? I've done a lot of searching. I've been to a lot of therapy. I've done a lot of psychotherapy, and I believe that I'm black. Would you guys feel that it's harmful not to affirm that if I believe that's my identity?
I would say that, if you grew up around Black culture, if you feel like you identify with Black culture, like, I don't know that I would call you Black, but I would say, you know what, you seem to be really ingrained in Black culture, right?
You wouldn't
like,
affirm her identity, Stardust?
No, I don't believe in trans
I
racism.
can't. But what kind of racist wouldn't affirm her identity, Stardust?
Yeah.
What kind of
look, I'm not
phobia?
going around saying that you guys aren't Christians, right? Like, I'm not
But
saying
if
that you guys
did,
aren't.
you said it's not a
You
phobia.
don't. No, I didn't. No, that's not what
Yes,
it was.
my
You're changing
question- I
it. You're changing
specifically
your
asked
question.
this.
I think
Your
we need to
question.
do-
Wait a minute.
take a little-
Your question was specifically if you say that my God isn't real, is that Christphobic? No, I don't think that's Christphobic. If I go around
But if
and
I say
say
that you're not a
you
man,
guys
that's
are
saying-
not Christians, you guys are not real Christians, then yes, possibly that could be.
Why would that be
Yeah.
Christphobic, but the alternative would not be?
Well,
What is the
because
criteria?
you're
What is
claiming
the
that you
junction
are.
breaker?
What you're claiming is you're claiming that your identity as a Christian. I am
Mhm.
denying your identity as a Christian.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
through my
that's what it would
perception.
be.
Just through my perception, you're denying it. It doesn't have to
Yes.
map onto reality. It only has to map through the perception. So is
So,
it
we've
Christophobia
clarified.
through or not?
It's I would say it's anti-Christian. Yeah, it's probably anti-Christian to say that, hey, you know what, you say you're Christian, but I don't believe you.
So
Right.
then is it anti-white to say that race doesn't exist?
No, not really. We have things that are social constructs all the time, right?
So
But we money doesn't really exist. We
it
made
does.
it.
It does. There are pieces of paper which reflect reality. That's the
Yeah,
non-social
but we
construction.
still made that up. We
Hang
still
on,
made that up.
stop. The argument of what is the social construction portion of money and what is the physical portion of money, okay, that needs to be clarified. There is a physical portion of these things which does map onto objective reality. Then there's a social
Mhm.
construction aspect to it as well, like a school. That is still a building. The social construction aspect would be the school, right?
So yes, what I would say is money. Yes, we have hard money. We can look at it. It's a real thing, but that real thing still came out of the social construction
Right.
of
Well,
it.
what I'm trying to clarify is what is the social construction aspect versus what is the physical aspect of the actual thing that maps on to reality. In this
Well, the
particular case,
physical-
the only thing that maps on to reality is the biological sex. The thing that does not map on to reality is the social construction, which you call gender. You say that it's transphobic to not affirm the identity of a person, but cannot give me a threshold breaker for any other specific identity.
I wanted to see where Andrew was going there. But we do have a physical representation of money. And if I were to go into a store and take out Monopoly money and say, here you go, they're going to laugh me out of the store and be like, what are you trying to do, sir? Yeah, we don't take Monopoly money here. And I'd be like, yeah, but listen, this represents cash. I want to use it to buy whatever I'm trying to buy. It identifies as real money. So therefore, you can't do that. And that's the same thing with the trans issue. You could dress it up like a woman. A trans person can manifest themselves to look like a woman all they want. But at the end of the day, they're not a real woman. They're biologically male. The same thing with the Monopoly money and the real money. Yes, they come out of ideas, but one you could actually use is actual currency that you could use to purchase goods. The other one is for a board game.
No, yeah, I have given you. I've said that, yeah, if I'm going around denying your identity as a Christian, then yeah, that would probably be bigoted.
So if you say,
Yeah, can I jump in
a
here really
Satanist
quick?
isn't a real Christian,
Again, it's a little bit to repeat something Stardust did bring up, of course, but do you think that if I were to deny the fact, I am acting like I know more about your religious beliefs than you, and saying no, you're not actually Christian. Do you think that wouldn't be a problem? That's more analogous in my mind. Is somebody saying oh, you're not this, you're not this, you can't be this. I don't know what you feel. Well, I don't know what your beliefs are. I don't know how your internal mindset is. I don't think that would be fair at all.
Aren't we talking about
for me.
biological reality?
I'm almost done.
Okay,
But
sure.
unfair for me to say when it comes to the way that you interpret yourself and your identity as being a Christian. I don't think I should have the right to say I mean, not to say it, but
well, let's test
it's
and
kind
see
of a
if
piece
this
of
is
shit
actually.
move to do.
Let's test and see if that's true.
A piece of shit move if I
Yeah.
were to tell you, oh no, you're not Christian.
Let's find out. Let's find out,
You're not
Neeina.
Christian.
Let's find out if that's actually true, Neeina. Okay, so here
What's
we'll
up?
just test this with a quick hypothetical. Let us assume that there was a woman who pretended her entire life to be black, but she wasn't actually black, right? And let's say that she had like some prominent Democrat position of some
What
kind.
is she, like classic
This-
in like blackface or what?
This fictitious woman who never existed, right? And then let's assume that it was found out that she was not actually African American in any way, shape, or
Okay.
form, and that she was just LARPing as being one. But she said that she had the lived experience of one, and so therefore should be considered a black person, regardless of the fact that she wasn't. And the entirety in mass of black people came out and said, no, you're not black. Are they all being racist by not accepting her identity, Neeina?
Well, you asked a few different things there. Are you trying to seem more like it's like, okay,
I asked
so
one
I
thing.
don't know that person's position. I'm not going to assume that. Like that just is not
Okay.
really something that I
He's
feel like is
he's
that
talking
important.
about Rachel Dolezal, who pretended to be black so she could get a position at the head of the NCAA.
Okay,
I
cool.
think,
People do
right?
dumb shit.
You know,
like,
and she got appointed to all these black activist groups and organizations, and it turned out that she had been putting cornrows in and spray tanning herself and pretending to be of African American descent when she never was. She's like white as I am, right? And so she was fired from those jobs. She was completely ousted by the black community. Does that make the black community racist against her? Does it mean they are being phobic against her if they say, no, you cannot adopt our identity and claim it when that's not your biological reality?
well, it seems that that person was just doing that for some sort of like tangible benefit,
That
right?
doesn't answer the
wait
question.
a minute. Wait a minute. Oh,
Well, I don't
okay,
remember the
so
story
what
that well.
about
It's
what
an old
about
thing.
a trans man? So this the whole premise of the debate is it
Uh-huh.
transphobic to say a trans man is not a real man? What if a trans man is pretending? How do you know that that person isn't pretending to be a man? Because let's say they believe in the patriarchy and that the patriarchy gives men unfair advantages like you think it does. Why
Okay.
should that? How do we know that woman isn't pretending to be a man so that she can get the benefits that our society gives to men?
That's what
How
I'm
would we know?
saying. Your example of Rachel Dolezal is seemingly like it's already been proven that they were using that for the
It never really
reason.
was proven. It was assumed. But the contention
Okay.
from the black community was just like, we don't care
You're not
what
black.
your
They said
we
you're
don't
not
care
black.
what your
That's what
yeah
they
we
said.
don't care what your motivations are. You cannot say you are biologically a black person,
'Cause
just
you're
like
not.
a woman
Can I-
cannot say she's a man.
Answer to the
Can I-
question. No, don't
No,
interject.
were they
Let her
saying
answer
they
for
were
once.
biologically black? Like, what does that even mean?
We're
What does
asking the
biologically
question
black
she
again.
is
mean?
I'm going to make
black.
it as simple as I possibly can for
Yeah,
you, Neeina.
but you can be.
Was
like,
it
what is
racist for
biologically black?
for blacks, for the black community to say you're not black? Was that racist of them?
Was it racist for them to just say that you're not black? I mean,
Yeah.
like, what would,
Yeah, were
like,
they causing her harm by refusing to affirm her
I have no
chosen
idea.
identity?
You have no idea.
I don't know enough about this story that you're referring to.
Okay, in a fictitious
If I
story, I didn't
can-
even bring up Rachel
Dodge.
Dolezal, but fictitiously, if it maps on the
Yeah.
same exact way in this hypothetical, okay,
Real quick, I want to point out how this girl was saying how she said, well, wasn't it proven? But in that case, wasn't it proven that they knew she was lying and blah, blah, blah? And then she says, well, I don't know enough about that story. Yeah, sure. Make up your mind, lady.
and they all does say every black person in the United States, every single one of them says,
That's
no, you're
kinda
not
racist.
black. Are they being racist for not affirming her identity, Neeina?
I don't
It's-
believe in transracialism, like whatsoever.
Not asking you.
and-
I'm asking Neeina to please answer my question.
Yeah, that's
Neeina.
not really like I think we're a little bit too far off base
Answer
here. I know
my
you love
question,
using this
Neeina.
argument.
Stop running.
Why would I answer this question? I don't think it applies.
You
What are
can't
talking
answer
about?
the
Like,
question.
you're
can you?
asking it. You're asking me to ask a metaphor of every single fucking black person would agree with, like calling.
Yes, I
her
know.
not
Hypotheticals are
black.
designed to
I
test
don't
logic.
understand
They're
why.
really
Like,
hard.
what you're trying to imply that every single black person has the exact same opinion?
Yes, that's the. Well, Neeina, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
I don't think that it's
What?
racist.
How would
I
you
don't think
how would
that's
you feel
racist.
this morning if you never had breakfast, Neeina? How would you feel?
I don't think it's racist. Because I think that I do think that one you kind of have to work at kind of being part of that identity. And that's probably going to be something that Neeina and I kind of disagree on. I am a little bit more on the trans med side. I do think that generally somebody can't just say that there's something and automatically they become that thing. We generally, though, when we see somebody say that there's something, they work towards being that thing. And so when a trans person is, is saying that, like a man is saying that they are a woman, then generally we hope to see that they're working towards that. They're working to present that way. They're working to
yourself. You just
Rachel.
completely screwed yourself.
Wait a
by
minute,
saying
Rachel.
that.
Let me
We'll wrap up the
finish.
point.
Let me
We'll kick it
finish. Let me finish. When a woman, when a man, okay, here, let me put this out here, okay? If I'm going by your definition of what a man and a woman is, right? And you guys are just basing that completely in biology, right? If you are talking about men and women from a biological standpoint, and for you, men and women is same as male and female, then you know what? Trans men are not men. I'll agree with you on that, right? If that's what your definition is. But then what's wrong with a woman trying to present herself as a man and live life as a man?
I'll tell you, it's emotional hostage taking to have the requirement of Christians and tell Christians that if you do not affirm the identity of us and thus break your commandment of your God, that I'm going to go and terminate myself. That's emotional. Yeah, no, that's bullshit. They are saying that. And it's emotional hostage taking to say that without these affirmations, they're going to hurt themselves, and that we must give them these affirmations and lie to them, even though we are commanded not to do so. How do we reconcile
you ever tell,
that?
Like white lies to people to be polite?
So lie to them.
Do you practice a thing called being polite?
Yes, of course. I try to be polite.
Okay. So sometimes
you know
politeness
what the distinction
does
is between
include
bearing
sometimes
false?
We're going to let
sometimes-
Stardust wrap up her thought. I don't want to mute you, bud. So
sometimes being polite does require the admittance of things, right? If somebody says, hey, or you run into somebody, right? And they, the shirt that they're wearing looks really fucking bad on them. Sorry, excuse my language. It looks really bad on them, right? But you're just having a normal conversation. It's not really like polite of me to say, hey, I hate your shirt. It makes you look like garbage, right?
Is it polite to let them go into the bathroom of their choosing, the locker room of their choosing, and not lie to them? Do I need to lie to them and pretend that they're a woman so that they can go take a shower in the men's room?
Well, if it's Buck Angel, do you know who Buck Angel is?
No, that's not my question, right?
If it's
Don't
Buck
ask
Angel,
me
no,
a
I'm
question,
asking.
answer mine. I've answered every question you've asked me. Answer my question.
It depends, right?
It
The reason why I'm bringing
why?
The reason why I'm bringing up Buck Angel is because Buck Angel is biologically, as what you guys would say, a woman, right? Biologically a woman,
An ugly woman,
presents completely as a man.
Yeah,
Completely
there's
as a
always
man.
been
It
freaks
would
at the circus, women who have beards and all kinds of things, Stardust.
Right, but it wouldn't make
Susan
any
B.
sense.
Anthony. I mean,
It wouldn't-
go look at a
wait,
picture of Susan B.
excuse
Anthony
me.
and tell me.
And I like how Stardust here is using the example of a trans man going into a man's bathroom or a man's locker room, where arguably Buck Angel could be putting themselves in danger, like arguably. But even if there was no danger for Buck Angel, once again, they have to bring up where a woman is putting themselves in danger of going into a man's area. But they are also leaving out where predatory men dressed as women can go into a woman's space, and they want us to just affirm them because, well, it's polite, my politeness. I've said it, good on Andrew for bringing up that point. I've also said it here in these videos, is that no, these lies, this isn't just being polite. This isn't just simply just like saying, oh, why thank you after someone hands you or gives you something. This is actually putting people in danger, and people are getting harmed.
That wouldn't make
and you guys
any
think you're not
sense.
transphobic. What the fuck's wrong
It
with you?
wouldn't make any sense for somebody like Buck Angel, who looks completely like a man, to be in a woman's bathroom. I would be uncomfortable with that. I'm not looking at that person's
Which is
genitalia.
why, Stardust, we used to have a standard inside of the United States where you couldn't look like that. It was illegal to be a woman and look like that under decency law, Stardust. And then there's no problem, Stardust.
Yeah. There you
But
go.
I don't
Problem
understand what is
solved.
Wait,
wrong.
and- wait,
what
and you
is-
think that was
what-
a good-
why
wait,
you
you
want
think
to
that was a
criminalize
good-
Not only
somebody
was
who
it
looked
good-
at-
Everyone's talking. All right.
Also, Stardust completely blew their own argument out of the water when she was like, well, if I saw Buck Angel in the bathroom, I wouldn't feel safe. Oh, okay. But Buck Angel, if they were an actual man, went into the women's bathroom, well, that would be completely fine. Make it make sense.
You're muted for the audience right now. So everyone's talking all at once. So you guys are muted to the audience. So we're going to hand it back over to Neeina. But this might be a good time to ask everybody some clarifying questions. I know in the aftermath of these debates, sometimes people are like, hey, you know, we didn't get definitions, and that sometimes can make things difficult for people. So I'm going to take you all off mute, and I'm going to go around the panel here if you can, and just give your definition for what it means to you, trans. What do you, how do you define that? So we'll start off with you, Andrew, and go to Rachel for like a minute, and then we'll continue with the discussion with that clarification.
Transgenderism is it's a category error. That's how I define it. It's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. It's a category error.
Okay,
Well,
over to
it
you,
does
Rachel.
mean something. What does that mean?
Well, we're going to
Yeah,
go around the
so-
panel here. So,
Sure.
and we're going to try to keep the crosstalk to a minimum because I don't want to have to start muting people because it's not fun. It's not fun when I have to start muting people because I get indiscriminate with it. So, Rachel, it's the floor is yours to define trans.
Yeah, I would second what Andrew said, and I would say that the idea that somebody can be transgender is a category error, which began with the idea that there's no meaningful distinction between male and female other than just genitals. That other than that, we are exactly the same. We are just interchangeable widgets. And from that, we got to this idea that therefore we can switch and swap and choose, you know, what gender we are based on this concept. So no, I would agree with Andrew that it's not a thing, essentially.
Over to you, Neeina.
If we're just doing the direct definition, I'd be just like a transgender person. It just seems like somebody who whose gender identity or expression like doesn't correspond with like the sex that they were assigned at birth. I don't think it's a really like crazy concept. I think it's probably pretty understandable, like in like a very easy way, personally. But I don't want to go into too much on that.
All right, and over to you, Stardust, and then we'll kick it back into open discussion with that clarification.
Yeah, so for me, a trans person is usually somebody who's born as one sex, whose experience internally doesn't align with that sex. And so what they try to do is they try to do everything in their power to present as the other sex and to fall into the gender roles and function within society of the gender roles that came out of the opposite sex. That's generally what I would say. So.
Excellent. Well, we'll kick it back in open discussion. I'm going to do my dues to James because I failed him earlier to remind everybody that tickets for the DebateCon are linked in our description along with our crowdfund on the side. You won't want to miss this epic live event. I know if you're seeing double on the screen right now, that's because Andrew is double.
Yeah, you definitely did not want to miss this debate right here between Andrew Wilson and Matt Dillahunty, the famous rage quits from Matt Dillahunty. Ooh, that was glorious to watch.
Feature tonight. Look at that. It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. You're a double feature. All right, so we're going to kick it back into the open discussion. We got another 30 minutes here. So let's try to reset the tone and we'll continue.
I have a question. So let's say that I give to you that trans women are men, right? The next question would be, what is your prescription for what trans women should do? Should they grow beards and get wives and impregnate them?
No,
even though they have this illness?
Nope. The prescription is that we need to have decency laws and deal with mentally ill people who refuse to follow decency laws like we would deal with every other mentally ill person and give them treatment immediately. But under decency laws, you absolutely should not be able to walk around in the streets dressed up like a female and pretend that you're a female when you're clearly not and have the expectation that people lie to you or else you're going to self-delete. That's insanity.
So
if I could jump in really quick.
Quick thoughts there, Rachel.
I need to respond. I need to respond to that.
Hold your thought because Rachel wanted to add to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say you're appealing to people's emotions. You're appealing to politeness, to manners, to etiquette. What about the fact that I feel personally deeply insulted by men, biological males, who walk around dressed in woman face in a costume that demeans my personal experience as a woman, having given birth to 5 children, that I feel insulted, that I am being emotionally blackmailed into affirming this person's either their delusions or for whatever reasoning. I understand some people do have emotional problems that lead them to want to be seen as a woman. I understand that. I think there are definitely people who exploit this. We see males who enter into female sports and kick the absolute crap out of women in female sports when they were terrible at male sports. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't care, because I am a biological female. So how can you appeal to emotion and decency and etiquette and politeness and then turn around and suggest to me, an actual woman, that I must entertain some man? Remember
Okay, we
the
gotta
It's
pass it back
Ma'am
over.
guy? The 6
okay,
foot
come
tall
on, come on.
man who says he's
Actually, well said by Rachel Wilson here. And it's funny because these people who would probably be like, well, you know, you're not allowed to speak unless you're a woman, like about pregnancy termination issues and such. Well, Rachel Wilson here is an actual woman speaking to her experience as a woman, saying she is deeply offended when men dress up and claim to be women. And she gave great reasons as to why. I'm curious to see what these two are going to say. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this so far, smash that like button. Sound off in the comment section below if you got any thoughts on this so far. Let's continue.
woman. I'm supposed to say, oh, yes, you're a beautiful
All
lady.
you have
I need to respond to
respect people.
Andrew.
Yeah, we'll
Because
let you,
his
we'll let you respond.
answer,
There's Stardust.
okay, his answer to my question was that we need to provide these people with treatment for their illness, right? We need to get them treatment. Is that correct?
Just the ones that are ill, yes.
Yeah, the ones that are ill. So if that is the case, and we look at what the treatment for their illness is, and generally people say that gender affirming care is the treatment for their illness, then what are we supposed to do?
If the treatment for your illness, societal wide, the prescription is worse on the society than the treatment of your illness, then under your own purview for ethics, you would have to default with the non-treatment option. If the only way, by the way, that you could affirm the care of these people is to lie to them and tell them there's something that they are not, then can you answer for me a question, Stardust, as to why it is that teenage suicide rates in 1940 were 3 times lower than they are right now? And we do have data on what was considered transgender then. And they were not self-deleting nearly at the rates they are now, as they have been increasing. Can you explain that to me?
Well, do we know that that's a result of there being more people altogether?
This would be
It's a
per capita,
percentage.
Stardust.
It's a
Per capita?
percentage.
Per capita.
It's a percentage. So if this
Okay, yeah, I
percentage
mean,
of the population,
Yeah, so I'm not going to deny that, one, I don't agree with lying to people, right? Nobody is saying that these people are biologically women. I've never said that they're biologically women, right? All I am saying is that they function within society under the woman kind of role, right? They function as women, they
What
act
is
as
that
women,
role?
you said it yourself. There are meaningful differences between the sexes, right?
Yes, they're meaningful
yes,
biological
makeup.
differences.
That's not makeup and dresses and
No,
hairdos.
it's not. Females and males do gravitate towards different things. They do. But sometimes there are going to be males who gravitate to things that are typically female and who express themselves in a female way, who function within society as females would. What is wrong with that?
What's wrong with bringing back decency laws like we had before, and then we don't have any of the
Do
debate
you
over
actually want an answer to
bathroom?
that?
I am answering it. The answer to this
No,
question is
that was a-
actually
Well, she keeps saying, well, what's the harm in that? What's wrong? We've demonstrated the harm. Women are getting hurt when you're putting men in women's prisons, for instance, to affirm their gender. The female prisoners are being harmed. You know, there are great cases in these prisons. Women are getting pregnant in there. Or what about the sports case where it was the volleyball, where the trans woman hit the ball so hard that it severely injured the girl, or she had like brain damage, like a severe brain injury. You know what I mean? This isn't just allowing a trans woman to dress up like a woman and then go to the store and then just buy a few things and go about her day. No, you are now crossing a line to where, well, now you want them to go in women's restrooms. Now you want them to be able to go in women's locker rooms. Now you want them to go in women's sports and compete against actual women. That's the danger that's here. And that's what you're kind of just glossing over.
It's in the question. The answer is very simple. We need to bring back the decency laws, which have a requirement and a set standard for how people are allowed to walk around inside of society. And if you're a male, you should not be allowed to dress up as a female, walk around society, or vice versa.
What would you define as doing that?
Stop talking and let me finish. So anyway, that's what we need to do, is focus on that. We had that standard before. These problems did not exist before, nor was the suicidality anywhere near as high as it is right now for this particular group.
Know that. Yeah, can we go back a little bit? You said a category error. I was still wanting to get an answer. What does that mean? I've never heard that term before.
You don't know what a category error is? Like, honestly, I want you to be honest with me.
I've never heard it before. No.
You've never heard category
I mean, are
error.
you saying literally?
Yeah,
Just
literally.
Explain it to me.
Literally a category error.
Literally, yes, it's literally a category error.
It
would-
would definition
means-
if you'd like. I just looked it
Right.
up, so I had
Sure,
the
go
exact
ahead.
one. A category mistake or category error, categorical mistake or mistake of category is a semantic or ontological error in which things belong to a particular category are presented as if they belong to a different category, or alternatively, just make sure I'm unmuted. Or alternatively, a property is ascribed to a thing that could not possibly have a property. So that is the long form of the category error.
Okay, so in what I don't really feel like that itself is an explanation for how you're using it.
Men and women are
means-
ontologically different. Men and
It
women are
means this
ontologically
white claw,
different.
this white claw is not a planet. That's what
Yeah.
it means.
That would be a category error. Poor Neeina.
No, but you're not really connecting that, because like obviously you just admitted right there that it applies to
Okay,
a lot
well,
of
here, Neeina,
broad
let me
concepts or
help you
groups.
out with the
So
category error.
with the context of this conversation, can you explain what you mean with that?
I already did. It's already been explained to you. There is no ontological set base for what is transgender. I'll give you an example. Neeina, define woman.
Sorry?
Define woman.
No, I thought you were explaining stuff.
I
Or you're just gonna
am. I'm
ask me
going to give you an
questions, 'cause that's not
example
really
of
the same
how
thing.
this works.
Sure.
I just explained. Define woman for me.
I would define it as a gender prescription, or not prescription. Sorry, wrong wording. A gendered term that implies that you generally subscribe to a lot of, social. I mean, obviously, I'm like more like general, but anyways, a lot of social values and like why do I keep reading the word? What is it? The when you're supposed to fulfill a social.
You know the
social
thing.
roles. I'm sorry. I just like struggled with the words there. Sorry. Like social roles, social values, social expectations. That was the other one I was thinking of. I'm sorry. That was just like completely losing my words there. Social expectations that generally align with the female sex.
Can anybody be that thing?
Can anybody be that thing? Yeah.
Well, then it doesn't point to any information about the thing, Neeina.
Okay.
Because it's a
I mean, you could
category
say that
error.
for, like,
It's a
literally
category
language.
error.
Okay,
That's
but you're
why.
just saying a category. That's not really an argument. You're just saying it's a category error. Doesn't make
No, a
isn't an
category
argument.
error is a literal argument.
It's a literal argument.
Literally.
Okay, if you're gonna be like literal, I'm saying in this conversation, just saying something is a category error is not your argument for the
It
conversation.
is
It is my
actually our
argument.
argument.
Yes.
Oh, why'd
Okay,
you
if
start
I
off with
if
that?
I
And couldn't look it
can,
up.
if I grant again, we can go back to what I was saying. I'm if I grant you that this is a classification error, and that and you know what, trans women are really men, and you said that your solution to this is that they need to seek help, they need to get treatment for their illness. Now I said, what if that treatment for that illness is to affirm their gender identity? You said we need to bring back blasphemy laws. Well, what if
I
Decency
didn't
people
say
laws.
don't?
anything about
Or
blasphemy laws.
not blasphemy, sorry, decency. I mixed up the word. We bring back decency laws. What if how does decency laws work with people who in their head, no matter what, believe that they align
I can
with
explain.
the gender roles. And also what happens to those people who don't follow those decency laws.
Sure. So it's the same thing as people who, like, my mother was schizophrenic when I was young and believed she was a fish. I did not affirm her identity as a fish. I took her to the hospital. Okay. And so it's not incumbent upon Andrew or I to make sure that these people feel better or get better or start believing that they are the sex they were born. We wish them the best. We hope that for them. We want that for them. But that's number one, that's not going to happen if you keep affirming this nonsense that's absolutely just not true. And number two, even if those people are off dealing with that, getting treatment, first of all, I don't know if I don't know if I would send them to psychologists these days, because these are the main people that are reinforcing the nonsense. But regardless of how they deal with it, it is not incumbent upon the rest of society to affirm or deal with their issues. Just like if people believe they've been abducted by aliens, all of society shouldn't be pressured to reinforce that belief for them, even if it makes them feel better.
Well said by Rachel Wilson. Yes, perfectly said. It is not up to the rest of society. So first of all, if you're reliant on the rest of society, if you're reliant on like millions of people to affirm you in order for you not to unalive yourself, I mean, I think that in itself is a sign that there is much more deeper issues going on. And these two over here, obviously, on the losing argument, because it's quite simple. Like, yeah, you can't rely on the rest of society to affirm you are, just to make sure, and hold society emotionally hostage just to make sure you don't unalive yourself. And it also is causing tangible harm, because there are women being harmed by this ideology that's being pushed upon us. So that's why this transgenderism debate, it's always going to be the losing argument when for the people that are arguing on behalf of transgenderism. No matter what, it's because of these things, because it is causing actual harm, and to not even just like the people around, but to also transgenders themselves. Because quite frankly, instead of encouraging some kind of treatment, it can't be easy. Like if you genuinely suffer from this, it can't be easy going around with that all day. So I would think it would be better just to encourage them to seek some kind of treatment than it is to just rely on millions of people to affirm them. But what do you guys think about this? How do you guys think Andrew and Rachel Wilson did? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you really enjoyed this, and if you did really enjoy it, I have more Andrew Wilson and Rachel Wilson stuff on the screen for you to click away and enjoy, along with a channel full of debates very similar to this that I think you'll like.